your toy? Can I have that? I would like your toy, please. Get it? You can't knock it out of my hand. Come on. Get it. Come on, get it. Oh, good boy, you lazy shit. Yo, look at this. Look at me walking around. It almost doesn't even look like anything's wrong anymore, does it? I mean, I still have my boot. I'm still wearing it when I go out, but anyway. Yo, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Do a Motorcycle Accident here. And I had a video idea. I've been thinking about it for a little while now. Now, I always get asked the question, Dan, do you ever think you'll get another H2? Or do you ever regret selling this? Or do you ever wish you had done that? You know, whatever happened to the Jeep Gladiator? I get asked that question a ton, like every day on YouTube. So I figured while I'm waiting for myself to be back on my own 2 feet, I'd answer some of those questions. So let's go over a lot of the vehicles that I regret selling and why I regret selling them. And some of the ones that I don't regret so much, you know what I'm saying? So let's start this episode of cars I regret selling. This isn't really in any particular order or anything like that. It's just a collection of vehicles that I finally sat down and got together. I was like, you know what? I miss that fucking car. This seems like a good place to start, man. The old CBR 1000RR, and I miss this bike. This is 100% a bike that I regret selling and getting rid of because of like how spotless and how perfect this bike was when I set it up. If y'all remember when I first got it, it was wrecked to shit, and I actually traded it straight for my CBR 600RR that I'd had. Matter of fact, that guy, the guy I got it from, I bought the CBR 600RR from him originally, and then he had the 1000. He was not interested in having another 600, but then his wife wanted to ride, so he straight up traded me his 1000 for my 600. Like, it was a straight trade, but the 1000 was beat to shit. So I completely took it down to the frame, essentially, and cleaned it up really good, and did my own custom touch, new handlebars, new handles, new grips, new mirrors, new blinkers, the full Yoshi pipe. That was a badass setup. The only thing that I didn't fix was like this little bit of road rash right here on the crankcase from when the previous owner had laid it down. This is, I think this is even at Tail of the Dragon right here. This might even be a photo from Killboy. It's been so long, but it's a good photo. And look at my fucking zip ties. This is the only thing about the bike I think that I ended up being ghetto about, but everything else was like fucking spot on. But this was my first real attempt at fixing and repairing a motorcycle and getting it like looking good. And while I didn't do anything crazy, like I didn't rip it apart or rebuild the motor, man, this was easily the best looking bike that I'd ever put together. I fucking enjoyed this bike so much. Look at those barely visible chicken strips, just a little bit. Oh look, I'm running the Continental Attacks. I fucking love those tires, man. I know I've said it about a million times before, but I actually lost a sponsorship with Continental Attack because I used the words hot cum too many times, and I'm not joking. That's 100% what happened. I was working on a sponsorship with Continental, and they're like, cool, let's see what this Do With Dan guy's all about. And at the time, I was being me, and I was riding down the road shouting the words hot cum at people because of a Sam Hyde video. It's fucking stupid. Probably like the biggest sponsorship I've ever blown, and I've blown a lot. Fucking gorgeous bike though, man. I regret getting rid of this every day. I don't even know where the bike's at anymore. Originally I knew who I sold it to, or who it was sold to, but I don't know where it's at anymore. Matter of fact, if you know where this bike's at, like, hit me up. I'm not saying I'm gonna rebuy it, but I fucking like this bike. I'd like to see how it's doing. The gold windscreen, the red and white candy apple paint, just fucking perfect. This is my idea of like the perfect 1000 for me. Just because it was still capable in turns, it wasn't like crazy or anything like that. Although I do remember it being like heavier into turns than the ZX10. Which, you know what, fuck it. I think I only put like I have the CX10 on here as well because I fucking miss this bike more than any other bike that I've ever owned because of how good this bike was. I seriously recommend anybody who's looking for a 1000, a liter bike, this generation of the Kawasaki ZX10Rs, fucking perfect. It was so lean and light into turns, it didn't fight you at all. It would wheelie all day long, it was super balanced. It was just, man, this bike right here, I highly regret getting rid of this bike too. But at the time I had the H2, I didn't need 2-liter bikes, you know, especially not one that wasn't supercharged, you know what I'm saying? But it sounded perfect. I think I only have one photo. Yeah, I only have one photo of it on here. But it sounded perfect. It was flawless. There wasn't a scratch on it. It had a tune. The full Akrapovic, however you pronounce that.
Akrapovic. Say Akrapovic. Akrapovic. Yes.
Full exhaust was fucking perfect on this bike. Yeah, I full fuck regret getting rid of that bike. Here's one I get asked about all the time is the Jeep Gladiator. Whatever happened to the Jeep Gladiator? Why did I get rid of it? Stuff like that. For those who don't know, the Gladiator was a build that we did for 74 Auto. It was a salvage title. It was a flood vehicle. It was 100% stock when I got it, but the flood had gotten up past the doors and into the cab, which it totaled out the vehicle, I guess, technically. From insurance perspective, they're like, yeah, total it out. I hate that I had to get rid of this thing. So, like I said, it was originally a build for 74 Auto. The idea was that I would build it up and then, you know, make some video content of it and do some stuff here and there. Then it would get sold via their auction. This is what they always do. That's how a lot of automotive companies fix and repair cars, especially through YouTuber influencers and stuff like that. And everything was going great on it. I don't think there was any issues with it. Originally, I wanted to keep the fucking thing. I fell in love with it so fucking hard that I wanted to keep the stupid Gladiator. And like, how could you not love it? I mean, look at it. It is like the most, in my opinion, the most badass off-road looking vehicle. Like this, even this specific setup, I just love this. The wheels, the tires, the lift, the headlights, I love this truck. I did not want to get rid of it. Matter of fact, I had tried to buy it from them. I was working on buying it from them, but COVID hit like mid-build. I forget what we were doing. Like, we'd already gotten the suspension and whatnot. I still had to fabricate a tailgate and a bumper and a front bumper and like a headache rack and some other shit. I was gonna build some stuff for it. Where they're like, hey bro, like shit's going crazy right now. We need the Gladiator back. We need to sell it unless you want to buy it. And at the time, I was in the middle of doing some other stuff. I was gonna actually buy this from them, but I'm glad that I didn't, because it would have put me in a very fucked financial situation when I wrecked the Camaro. And I'd have been totally screwed because it's salvage title and I was gonna finance it and all this other stuff. I'm glad that I didn't get it because it would have been a bad timing for it, but I fucking hate that I had to get rid of it. This thing was set up so good. I feel like I did such a good job with just the basic mods that I did on it. It was so much fun, man. We drove that thing snowboarding to North Carolina, Boone, and that's what these photos are from. Talk about the perfect weekend road trip vehicle. It's a little cramped on the inside. I had a ton of more ideas that I was gonna do with it, and I think what happened was at the time when COVID hit, people stopped buying cars. People stopped doing everything because people were working from home and they weren't getting as much money from work because people were laying people off. I mean, it was fucking awful, right? We all remember that. One of the things that they did was to keep everything in the green and make sure they could keep their employees on payroll and whatnot. They kind of liquidated everything that they had. I think they're doing, obviously they've recovered, we all have, from the initial COVID hit, but that's why it ended up going away, was because they ended up selling it. They considered the build done, even though I wasn't done with it. They needed to sell it, and I understood. It sucks, man, because I really like that Gladiator, especially since they put those 8-speed automatic transmissions in them. They're so fucking fun and fast for what they are. Clearly. All right, this one has a very specific spot in my heart. Was my white Ram 1500. I really regret ever having to get rid of this truck. Actually, I didn't have to. I chose to get rid of it. I forgot why. What did I trade it for? Did I trade it for the Rebel? I might have traded this for, yeah, I traded this for the Rebel. That's what it was. This is obvious. This is the night that I picked it up. It was completely stock. Like literally, I had someone drop me off at the dealership, picked up that truck and drove it home. And I think the reason I regret selling this is because it was paid off. It was 100%. It was a clean truck. It was reliable. It was fun once I did the modifications to it, which was pretty simple stuff: suspension lift, wheels, tires, some bumper guards, and some other interior bits. I was nowhere near done with this truck. I just love that, man. I hate that I got rid of this truck. But I think one of my biggest gripes, especially with my friends, was if you look here at the doors, this rear door it's not a full 4-door. There's like the crew cab and there's like the full cab. Or I'm probably getting that wrong. But anyway, it was like not the full size rear door. So anybody that rode in the back seat was like fucking cramped. You know, I can remember having my friends bitch about it constantly after doing small road trips in it. But man, I love this truck because I drove it to Minnesota and back, like 18 hours there, 19 hours back when my grandfather passed. And like I had like a very special bond with this vehicle, which is like stupid. Everyone has a special bond with something, right? But this vehicle, like it got me around. It was like the perfect vehicle for me at the time. And it was 2-wheel drive. It was fast as fuck. Something about Ram 1500s, something about like the way their engine and transmissions deliver power. They're fucking light in the rear, they haul ass. I miss this truck. I miss this truck a lot. And I like the fact that I got a base model because I genuinely agree. I used to think that why would you get a base model, you know, when you can just have the nicer version of it. But when it comes to something like this, getting a base model and then upgrading it, that was the way to go, for sure. I should have done all new interior, all new radio, or at least that's what Now Me would have done. But I think I paid like 16 grand for this truck. It was like a 2018 or 17, had like less than 10,000 miles on it, was the Workman's edition, you know, with the vinyl floors. I got it specifically because of that. I can't believe what I got for this truck. There's no way you could find a truck like this nowadays. There's no way in your life you could find a truck this clean, this low mileage, this reliable for under 20 grand. Impossible. I think that's why I regret selling it, is because of how little I paid for it. This is really the only photo I could find of this truck, because I've had this truck since before I was like into social media and whatnot, but this was my original, this is the truck I bought for my dad when I was a kid. Was it 98 Toyota Tacoma? I believe it was a 98. Like 120,000 miles on it. My dad had taken really good care of it, and then naturally, you know, I came along and I was like, I'm gonna put wheels and tires on it. I put some fucking mud tires on it and trashed it. I regret selling this wholeheartedly because there wasn't a fucking scratch, a dent, a ding. There was nothing wrong with this truck. This was my first vehicle. It was just a great truck all the way around. Roll up windows, you know, with the little half cab in the back. I had 12-inch subwoofers in the back, kicker. I had 15s. I had L5s. I had 15-inch L5s in the back, and that was too much. It was totally AIDS. But yeah, this truck was awesome. I regret getting rid of that one as well. I think I sold it for like 5 grand, like not even 5 grand. I cannot believe how cheap I let this car go. All right, let's talk about this one. I figured you guys would be curious about the H2. Oh look, fucking A, look what's all in this photo. We got the white Rebel, we got the old C7 that I totaled, go me, the old ZX10, which I fucking love still, and the H2 as well. That's great. This is trip down memory lane right here. Oh, this is after Justin wrapped it too. Man, it really looked good in that white, that Nardo gray. Yeah, man, the H2, right? I get asked about this bike more than I do anything else on the channel, is do I regret selling the H2? And the answer is yes and no. So like, as far as the aspect of getting rid of the bike, do I regret getting rid of it? That answer is no. I do not regret getting rid of it. I would be dead if I still own this motorcycle. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no doubt in my mind that had I continued down the path that I was going down and the level of recklessness and like the 220 mile an hour pulls, that this would have been my last motorcycle. So I don't regret getting rid of it in that fashion. There's some people out there who have 9 lives when it comes to this stuff, and I'm about on my 5th life. So I was really pushing it as is. Look at the exhaust. That's all you need to know about it. As far as what do I regret about selling the bike, is the way I sold it. So I ended up selling this for cash. I think I got like way more than what I paid for. I think it was like a $16,000 deal or something like that. And I ended up getting like 18K, 19K. I made money on the bike, but I took that cash plus some other cash I've been saving up. So I had like 30 grand. And I hate to even tell you guys these numbers, but I went to this place that was selling classic cars. I knew what I wanted. I wanted a 70 to 73 non-RS Camaro. And this place happened to have exactly what I was looking for. And I was told over and over again that it was a frame-up restoration, that it was clean, that there wasn't anything wrong with it, and that it was a good running and driving car. So I was like, cool, here is $30,000, $29,000, I think. It was exactly 29 grand. Here's $29,000 for this 1973 numbers matching Camaro. And that's why I regret it, because I took that money and I invested it into the car that I have now, which is rotting floorboards, rotting air conditioning, rotting firewalls. I mean, the car itself is not in great condition, the 73, which is reason why I haven't worked on it hardcore like I thought. I started doing that LS swap, I got it up on the lift, and I realized like how much more fucking work that was in that car than I was expecting. And that's why I regret it. I don't like to use the term I got fucked, because like that implies poor business practices and there was some other shit involved. I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but I kind of got fucked on the 73. When it comes to like what I should have done was I should have bought a fucking roller and pocketed $25,000. That's what I should have fucking done. And I think a lot of people would probably be really embarrassed to say those kind of numbers and be honest with you guys about stuff like that. But at the same time, it's like, if I can do anything to help you guys from stopping you from doing what I did, I'm gonna. My YouTube channel for the past like 4 years has been a cascade of shit you shouldn't do. You know what I'm saying? Like, learn from my experiences. Let me do it the hard way. You guys learn on your own. That's what the H2 selling was, to get the Camaro. So that's my opinion on it. I don't miss the bike. The bike used to make me so uncomfortable when I get ready to go on it, but I do miss the fucking money. Especially after a motorcycle accident like what I had and all the medical bills I got piling up, I miss that fucking money. That'd have been great. It was a pretty bike though, man. Really pretty bike. Had a lot of fun on that bike. Was really lucky to have owned one, not the bank, you know, not someone who gave me the money. Like, I owned one and I got out from underneath it without dying. Okay. All right, so I think this one's gonna be interesting to some of you guys because this is my first ever sport bike. That it was what started my channel. You guys remember it. I was doing stand-up wheelies on the back pegs without any rear brake because I have no idea why. I have no idea why I would ever do that. But this was the early era of the Do It With Dan that I'm really glad isn't around anymore. And I'm sure you guys will probably disagree with me on that. But dude, I used to ride down 95, slapping semis, doing 100 miles an hour, like weaving in between semis with that much fucking room, and doing stand-up wheelies on the back pegs, running from the cops. I used to do so much. I used to get away with so much bullshit on this bike, and without this bike, my channel never would have started. But you know what happened with this bike is that I kind of got greedy, man. If you want to put it into perspective, I thought to myself, was like, well, I deserve a better bike than that. And then I wanted to get the nicest R6 that I could afford, which was fucking dumb. That was so dumb of me. Like, considering how little experience I had on this bike and what I thought I needed, bro, learn from my mistakes. Here it is with the old BMW, by the way. If you think I'm gonna put the BMW on this list as far as vehicles I regret selling, I'm not. I have no regrets in selling that BMW. Not because it was a bad car, but I was ready when I made the decision to sell that car. Like, I was very confident in my decision to sell that car. Like, I had never had a regret about it once. I think they're great cars. Want you to know that. I think the 335i, hell, I liked it so much that that's what we ended up getting Laura. These are great cars, and I think everyone should try to own a BMW one day because it's an experience. It's an experience, but no regrets. Oh, what? Bro, you see this? Holy shit, I didn't even notice this. Do It With Dan's. Oh my god. You know what this is from? Hold on. We're about to go watch my own YouTube videos. It's like from my second video on my channel ever. What the fuck? I can't play that as copyright. Holy shit, bro. I'm gonna have to go back so far. I have over 1,000 videos. That can't be right. It wasn't that song though. It wasn't that one specifically. Here it is. Oh my god. Bro, this is like 2014. That's my buddy Ricky. Wow, check this out. I gotta mute them. Dude, I can't believe this. Holy shit. I forgot all about this. I took this sign and I went on the side of the highway. Parked on the side of the highway on my fucking bike. Walked down to the fucking road and just held up a sign that said, "Do It With Dan." I can't believe that I did this shit. Oh, there's my shipping information right there. Oh my god. Dude, this is wild. I forgot all about this. Thanks for going down that road with me right there. If anything, I regret selling it because it was my first sport bike. But honestly, if you want to know the biggest regret about that, and you guys are gonna make a lot of sense here, the Magna. That's originally, so I sold the Magna because, well, honestly, I thought that I couldn't start doing YouTube on a cruiser. Because everyone who's doing moto vlogs was either doing it like Jake was on a dual sport or on like an R6 or an R1 or like a CBR, you know, everyone was on sport bikes. So I thought that YouTube wouldn't find the Honda Magna is fun. So I sold it. I didn't think that people would think it was cool. So I was worried that the Magna would have hampered my YouTube progress because everyone else was doing sport bikes. And little did I know that that would become like the staple of my channel. Like, people remember this bike. I still have this bike. As a matter of fact, this is the day I bought it back. This is the guy I bought it from. This is all thanks to you guys, by the way. I try not to talk about this much because I still get flack for this. This bike single-handedly ruined GoFundMe's for me and almost brought down my channel. So at the time, I didn't know what GoFundMe's were. I didn't know that people abused them. I didn't know anything about that. But I get a link to this bike on Craigslist, and it's like, bro, you talk about your Magna and show videos and photos of it all the time. Is this your Magna? And I was like, holy shit, that's my fucking bike. I checked the VIN with my insurance company and everything. It was the exact same fucking bike that I had sold, and I'd always wanted it back. So the people who sent me the link were like, bro, you should buy it back. You gotta buy it back. This is so cool. And I was like, man, I'd love to. I'd absolutely love to, but I can't afford it. I'm a broke college student. YouTube wasn't making me like any money. I was still full-time school, full-time job, and doing YouTube at the same time, along with internships and all this other shit with college. It was nuts. So I couldn't afford it. I was like, man, I appreciate it. I'll keep an eye on it if I can scrounge up the money, but you know, don't plan on it. Went to bed that night, woke up the next morning with all of the money in a GoFundMe already there, like ready to go. It was ridiculous. It was the most insane thing ever. And like I didn't put up the GoFundMe, I didn't assemble it, I didn't ask. I just was like, bro, there's a fucking GoFundMe with money already in it. Like, I'm gonna go buy the bike back. And dude, I caught so much flack. Still to this day, I catch flack on this. This is where you wanna be when Jesus comes back? It's making dude with Dan feel bad about about something he didn't do. And that's okay. Like, it doesn't bother me anymore, because it's like, what the fuck? You know, like of all things to give a shit about, it's that. But that was the day I bought it back. I rode it home from Macon back to Brunswick, which is like 3.5 hour drive on a bike that gets 100 miles to the tank, straight piped. But this guy, he'd put suspension back on. I sold it with a hardtail. This was before I chopped it and redid everything and cleaned it up real good. But man, this is wild to look at, because this was like I was crying in this photo. You guys can't tell. Laura took this photo of me I think at the Bass Pro Shop off of Bass Road in Macon. And then that was the day I got it completely done, after the hardtail and the powder coat in the frame, or painting in the frame. And that was like the day of the first ride. Big deal here for me anyway. And obviously I regret selling it. I regretted it the moment I did, but I'm really happy that I still have the bike, and I'm gonna rebuild it very soon and get it back up to its glory. I'm considering building my own EFI setup for it. I think you guys will want to stick around for that. Aha, this one I think you guys will appreciate and miss this one too. This is my old 5th gen 1LE SS that I had, and it was basic, man. All it had was a cam and headers, and that was it. I think I had a factory catback exhaust. All it had was long tube headers and a cam, and it made 500 wheel horsepower on 3 different dynos. I think Tick Performance it was their polluter cam. That was like the hardest hitting cam you could buy for an LS3 for a street car. Like, it was the shit, man. I'd never met a 5th gen that was driven on the street that cammed like that polluter cam did. Man, I miss this car a lot. And this is a photo shoot that I did for Rohana back when I was cool with Rohana. And there's that Grantinelli spoiler. I was like the only person to ever run that spoiler back in the day, because nobody liked it. It was like a pro mod fiberglass spoiler, but I thought it looked like the shit, man. So I threw it on there. And that car was so basic. Like, it had no mods done to it. Wheels, tires, cam, not even an intake. It had the factory cold air, had the factory intake on it. The 5th gen Camaros still blow me away to how much potential they carried. Isn't it weird how like a car can look completely different from here to here? Like, that looks kind of like shit in that photo. That looks stout. Oh yeah, this is when I went to a Browning tuning in the middle of nowhere, Georgia. These guys were like, had this big hangar on an airstrip, bumfuck nowhere, Georgia. But I remember them being very good to me. They were very nice people. Made like an extra 15 horsepower off of timing. Here's one that I think you guys will barely remember. So you remember my first accident, I broke both my feet. And then around that time, my roommate John and I, we together bought this 3rd gen Camaro that was spray painted army green. Remember, we lived in Brunswick at the time, and drove down to like mid-Florida to go pick this thing up. Like, well past Jacksonville. It was like a 3.5 hour drive. Manual, 5-speed, 3rd gen, you know. Everything seemed to be working and driving on it fine, no problems when we bought it. So I drove down there in the BMW with a broke foot, and then we drove it like 3.5 hours home, and I'm not shitting you, man. The second we pulled it into the driveway, it starts knocking. Like, immediately the rod starts knocking. He pulled it in, and it was like, we're like, oh, fuck me, bro. We just drove 6.5 hours, 7 hours. We still drove the shit out of it, by the way, even with rod knock. We just put like really thick oil in it. And this is one day when I was at work. I used to work at Dick's Sporting Goods, and John showed up with Jax in the passenger seat to say what's up to me. And this was Jax seeing me at work for the first time ever. Such a good photo. Doesn't he look like he's smiling like a good boy? I don't really necessarily regret selling the car as much as I regret buying it to have to get rid of it. We ended up selling it to somebody who didn't even want the motor, he just wanted the frame. And we made money on it. I think we flipped it. I think we paid 1,500 bucks for it. And we ended up selling the roller as like 3 grand. Like he didn't give a shit about the motor or trans. And the last vehicle on this list is the Rebel. I think about this probably at least twice a day. I think about this truck and how much I miss it. I know it sounds ridiculous to miss a vehicle like this, but man, I do. I really do. I'll tell you why, man. It was just such a good truck. Like that truck would have lasted me 100,000 miles more without any issues. I still think about how much I regret selling that truck to this day. I traded it for the Corvette. People always ask me about it. I'm pretty sure I mentioned it when I did it, but you know, like it's impossible to keep up with everybody's videos all the time. So I still get asked about the truck. Man, where's that Rebel at? And someone's driving it somewhere, man. I hate it. I hate that somebody else is driving it. I ended up separating the wheels, selling those separately because I didn't think that they would take it on trade-in with those wheels. They rubbed so bad. Laura had her knee surgery. I dropped her off and picked her up in that truck with knee surgery, and it was not the most comfortable ride for her. Simple turns turned into 3-point turns. Complex turns turned into 5 or 10-point turns. The ride wasn't comfortable because you didn't have any tire. It was all meat. You know, it was all wheel. But man, I think about this truck. This is the last truck, and this is the last vehicle in the series. But I think about this a lot, and it's one of the reasons I want the TRX so bad. If I could get the new Rebel TRX, I'd be really happy. But it costs more than the Corvette does. Like, have you seen what they're going for? I bet they're 100 grand. Oh shit. Under 100 grand. Whoa. This is dangerous. This is dangerous. Is because no one's buying them because they're so fucking expensive or what? You know, it's a $70,000 truck. MSRP, 70K. And they're jacking them up to 90, 100 grand. Which I think is shitty. You know, the same thing with the Corvette. I paid way too much for it, but man, one day I'll have something like this, I promise you. I'll make it look a little bit... I still love this setup. I still love this setup. You can't convince me that it's not a gorgeous setup. It might be impractical. It might scrub every fucking second. But man, specifically the way this thing looked like this, you cannot change my mind. And Dark Media, thank you for the awesome photos. That was a brilliant truck. And if anybody's ever considering buying a truck like this, a Rebel, just a regular Ram Rebel, go for it. You will love it. I think about it at least twice a day. I'm like, man, I really wish I had that truck still, especially now with my busted ass ankle. But that is it, man. That's all for the vehicles that I regret selling. I mean, there's some on here that I don't regret selling, like the GTR. I could talk a whole video about why I don't regret selling the GTR. So if you want to see that kind of stuff, let me know. But I think this is a good place to end the video. I want to appreciate your time sitting through this. You know, it's not the conventional stuff, but it's something that I've been thinking about a lot, and I figured there were some good stories along with it, so why not share? So yeah, that's where I'm gonna end the video, but I want to say don't forget to come and tune in to me on Twitch tomorrow, the 11th, hopefully around like between noon and 2. -5 GMT Eastern Standard Time. I'm gonna be streaming Grand Theft Auto Remastered Edition. It's coming out tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to it, so make sure to fucking stop by. The chat and Twitch streams have been really fucking awesome. You guys are doing great. Thank you for coming by. Thank you for watching the video. If you want to support me in any other way, you feel free to buy my merchandise. I appreciate the shit out of that. I've got key tags and stickers and all sorts of cool shit and t-shirts and whatnot. Or 10% off all HeatwaveVisual sunglasses using the coupon code DOITWITHDAN. Yeah, I think that's all of the shameless plugs that I can do. All right.